Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a facial feminization with makeup tutorial. I did one of these probably 8 months ago and the video blew up. You guys were obsessed with it, and because there was such positive feedback to that video, I thought we could do, a part 2. Some of it may be a little bit redundant or repeated, but if you guys have not seen the video, I will link it up here. And if you guys are new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe. I tell you guys that every single time. Do not forget to subscribe and join the family. Do not miss any uploads because, I've been a YouTube queen lately and I've been uploading very frequently. So subscribe down below and give the video a thumbs up. And if you guys want to see how I transform my face from this into this, then just keep on watching. It is no secret here that moisturizing is probably one of the most important things in makeup technique anywhere, whether you're trans, whether you're cis, whether you're a man wearing makeup. Like, honestly, moisturizing your skin is probably the most important part. And I've already put a moisturizer on, but I like to go in with a little bit of extra moisture. So I'm going to be using the Good Molecules. This is the silicone-free priming moisturizer. So I am just going to take 2 pumps in my palm, and I'm just going to apply this all over my skin. Especially for my trans women out there who are shaving on the regular. Let's say you're in the process of getting laser hair removal, or you haven't even started, and you have a 5 o'clock shadow and you're shaving your beard every single day. Moisturizing is so important because when you're shaving, you are drying your skin out. And that was a little mistake that I made back in the day, was I was not moisturizing my skin enough, and it felt like very dragon-like, and it just did not feel good at all. That is technically a primer. So what I'm going to do is go in with another one because we want our makeup to last all day. We want our foundation not to move. This is the Milk Hydro Grip Primer. I know I've talked about this in another video, and I did get the really small one because honestly, I don't use it that much, but I used a bunch, almost half of it already. So what I'm going to do is just a little bit, probably like 1 pump, not even. And where I'm going to focus this most is right in the center of my face right here, on the bridge of my nose, down by my mustache area, on my chin, and up through my forehead. That is where I usually place the most coverage on my face. That's usually where I need it the most. And I just let this primer kind of sink in just a little bit until it gets slightly tacky, and you will be able to feel it. And then it's ready for foundation. I have tried many different foundations. A full coverage foundation is going to be what you're looking for, especially if you have a 5 o'clock shadow you're looking to cover. We really just want to make sure that our face is a clean canvas so we can kind of sculpt it into what we want. So I'm going to be using this Mcgrath Foundation. Like I said, it's $70. It's way too much money, but I am obsessed with it. What you guys can do is go to the drugstore. I will list some of my favorite drugstore foundations down below for you guys if you're on a budget. And if you do have a little bit of extra money, this is a very good foundation, and it will last you so long because a little bit goes a long way. So the way that I like to apply my foundation is with a damp beauty sponge. I think this just makes it look a little bit more natural, and it really just makes it look so airbrushed. This one's from Morphe. You guys do not have to get this Morphe one. You can get a beauty blender or whatever you want. And I just use the back of my hand and get as much as I want on my sponge. And then I will start just blending it onto my skin. So this is half of my face complete. Do you guys see the coverage on this? I mean, it really does take away all of the shadow. So you guys can kind of see the shadow that's like in my natural cheekbone right here. It just really gets rid of all that, so we have a fresh start. So one step that I did miss, and that's just because I don't need this step anymore, but if you do have a 5 o'clock shadow, do cover your face with the orange concealer. If you guys have no idea what I'm talking about, like I said, I will link my makeup tips for trans women up here. You guys can kind of watch that and see what I'm using to color correct. But what you'll do is you'll color correct first, apply your foundation, and now we're going to move on to the concealer. I have 2 concealers here, and one is very high-end and the other one is very basic and very affordable. They are both very, very good and probably along the same lines. So first is the e.l.f. This is the 16-hour camo concealer. This was like $6, I think, from Target. And then I have the Pat McGrath concealer. Concealer is concealer. I really like this e.l.f. one, so if you're on a budget, definitely stop at Target or Walmart, anywhere that sells e.l.f. and pick this up. The only thing about this is if you use it, definitely do one area at a time because it dries extremely quickly. And if you kind of just apply it all over your face and then go to blend it out, it will be an absolute tragic mess. I am going to use both concealers today. I'm first going to use the e.l.f. concealer. So what I'm doing here is I'm highlighting my face, so the areas that I want to stand out. So I love my chin. I used to hate it, but I am really obsessed with how my chin looks right now. So it really is just very dainty, I think. And so what I'm doing is just highlighting my chin. If you guys are new to the makeup scene, highlighting is what you want to bring forth, you know, what you want features of your face to be noticed. And contouring is what you guys want to, you know, shape and what you want to recede back. This is such a full coverage concealer. I am obsessed. I love that it's only $6 and the quality I feel like is unmatched for that price. It's very full coverage, and as you guys can see, my nose, the top of my nose is just starting to stand out more. So when we go to contour the sides, it'll make it look just a little bit smaller than what it is. I'm going to apply a little bit on my forehead. I'm just going to kind of just draw up. Kind of make yourself try to look like Avatar, you know, The Last Airbender. If you guys don't know what that is, I'm a little too old for you. So just take your sponge and do the same thing. Like I said, this is a very fast drying concealer. So if we were to, you know, kind of draw this all over our face first and blend it out after, it becomes mess city. Now I'm going to conceal my under eyes, and I'm going to do this a little bit differently than I have done in the past, just because, you know, as you get older, you'll learn different techniques that work better. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the concealer right in this inner corner because most of the darkness is really by that tear duct. So I'm going to take it all the way up here and drag it down slightly. So I am not going to do any, you know, crazy big triangle underneath my eye because frankly, it's just a big waste of product for no reason. And then what I'm going to do is take the concealer right at the outer portion of the eye, and I'm going to drag it back just like that. What this is going to do is this is going to trick the eye into thinking that your cheekbones are a lot higher because we are going to be highlighting this portion of our face. And because who the hell needs eyeshadow primer, what I do is I just take this sponge and go right over my lid because there's really honestly no need for eyeshadow primer. I'm sorry to all the brands out there that come out with them, but there really is no point. Concealer works 10,000 times better, and I like to just create a blank canvas for eyeshadow anyway, so concealer is your friend. So do you guys see there what a difference this makes? Do you see how we're highlighting the cheekbone and we're not highlighting the center of our cheek? That's what drawing the big, you know, triangle thing underneath your eye does. It really honestly just highlights your cheek. We still concealed the under eyes, you know, the bags are gone, but the majority of the highlight is out in this outer corner. So we are all done with the cream and liquid portion of the makeup tutorial. So what I'm going to do now is set it with my absolute favorite powder that really makes it last all day. This is the CoverGirl True Blend. This is the loose mineral powder. This is in the shade Translucent. I think it's 50 Translucent. I know there's a couple of them at the store and I always confuse myself, and I've been buying the powder for years. And it's my absolute favorite. I think it's very comparable to the Laura Mercier powder. That is, I mean, dare I say, it's very similar to the Laura Mercier powder. So what I'm going to do, because I really like my powder and my, you know, liquid foundation and concealer to mesh together, I will use the same sponge that I applied everything with, just because this really does melt all the products together and really makes your skin look as flawless as it can. I think using a brush just sets the powder on top of the skin, and there really is no morphing into one seamless product. It's just like kind of layer on top of layer. So I always start with underneath my eye just because that tends to crease very fast. So I am just going to lightly start pressing this powder into my skin and dragging it backwards. This is also going to highlight a little bit because it is a lighter powder. Do you guys see that? Like, hi cheekbones. Where did you come from? Once my under eyes are set, I will set the entire face. I will just take the same powder and just start to lightly press this into the skin. I go over it several times because if I just were to leave it like this, there's just some powder residue that kind of sits on the skin. So I just go back and forth over and over just to make sure that my skin is looking smooth and the powder is really being pressed in so the makeup does not budge at all. Something I really like to do, and I've learned over the years, is once I get all of my powder set, I like to take a setting spray or something to refresh the makeup a little bit. MAC Fix Plus works. This is a new thing I got from NYX. This is Bear With Me. And what I like to do is just douse my skin. And what it's going to do is it's going to take all that powdery look away. So I'm just going to spray it. Before we go in with our bronzer and blush and stuff like that, you want to make sure that your skin is completely dry, because if I were to go in with bronzer right now, it would become patchy. My foundation would start to lift. So give yourself a little bit of time, give a little bit of a fan, whatever you have, take 2 seconds, you know, drink your coffee, and then we can move on to the bronzer. Now we're going to move on to bronzer, and I have 3 different options here. I want to give you guys the ability to choose the bronzer that works best for your price point. So I have 3 of them. I have this e.l.f. bronzer palette. This was very inexpensive, and this is something I use all the time. Even still to this day, I use this, and I really like it. There's a lot of different colors in there. We've got a shimmery bronzer. This one's a little bit redder. This one's a little bit more orangey. I like mixing them all together, honestly, all 4 of them, and applying them to my face. Another bronzer that I really love, and I can only really use in the summertime because it looks very orange on me in the wintertime. This is the L'Oreal True Match Lumi Bronze It. I really love this. This also has some shimmer in it, and I never was really a big fan of bronzer with shimmer in it, but I don't know what happened. Like something, you know, I think I got hit in the head or something, but now I love it. I definitely prefer more of a matte bronzer, but I'm not opposed to using another one. And my favorite bronzer of all time, which I don't think that this will ever change because it is just such a good neutral bronzer, and this is Hoola by Benefit. That is the one we're going to use today, and I am going to be using it on a Morphe. This is a M527. And I really like this brush because it's a big, fluffy paddle brush. So it's not giving me a harsh contour. It's really just going to give me a very sun-kissed look. And I always start towards the back near my ear. And I really don't do like the duck face look. I just kind of move my cheek to the side. And it really does show where your natural cheekbone lies. So what I like to do is just run my bronzer right underneath my actual cheekbone, because what this is going to do is give us the appearance of a higher cheekbone. I do like to focus a little bit of the bronzer kind of right here on the apples of the cheek. I just think that it looks overall a little bit more natural and a little bit more sun-kissed, especially for summer. I definitely change up my techniques when it comes to, you know, seasons, but for summer, I like to look a little bit overall like sun-kissed and bronzed. The next area that we're going to be bronzing up is my forehead, and this is probably one of my biggest, you know, areas of concern. And what I like to do is start right at my hairline. So yeah, it looks a little crazy. So I am just gonna go right at my hairline, and I like to pull my hair back a little bit so the bronzer can get right back there. I'm gonna focus this right on this outer portion of my face over here. So I'm not really dragging it too far in, and you guys will see why in a second. And then I just like to bring the bronzer across the forehead. So we're really rounding this whole entire part of my face out. And the last place that I want to run the bronzer is going to be my jawline. And I like to just take it right underneath. And we're just going to round this out. If you have more of a square jaw or something that's a little bit more defined, just taking the bronzer and running it along the bottom portion of your jaw is going to give it a more softer appearance. What I also like to do is take it right by my chin. So it kind of gives my chin a little bit more of a pointy appearance. And because I feel like we got a little bit sloppy with the bronzer, what I am going to do is take my sponge. There's nothing on it, nothing extra on it. And I'm going to run it right underneath where we actually applied the bronzer, and that's going to clean it up just a little bit because I don't want it to look like an extremely muddy mess underneath our bronzer. I want it to be a little bit more clean. So next is going to be contouring, and that's something I really like to do minimal of. So I will take my highlight, and that's really what I want to, you know, focus on the most. And then I bronze my skin up to give me a little bit of life and a little bit of shape. And I'll take a little bit of contour. I think the biggest thing is people run with the idea of contouring and they overly contour and it doesn't look as natural as you can make it look. So I'm going to be taking the Shade Light Contour Palette from Kat Von D. I'm using the one that has Lyric and Shadow Play. So it has a contour color and a highlight color. And I'm going to be taking a smaller brush. This is a Smith 118. I'm going to dab into a little bit of the contour color. And what I am going to do is focus this just directly underneath the cheekbone. So right here is where I'm going to focus it more, because what this is going to do is this is a little bit more of a cool toned contour, and that kind of gives the shadow a little bit more life. It makes it look a little bit more real than having like an orangey bronzer. So I just focus that right underneath my cheekbone. And as you can see, it makes a very big difference. We're going to do the exact same thing to our hairline. I'm going to focus this color right in this, you know, outer portion of my forehead. And then just start to blend through whatever is left on the brush. Just blend it right at the top. The next magic trick that I'm going to do is contouring my nose. That's something that I've just started doing pretty much really recently. It's not something that I've really done before. And I'm going to be taking a large shader F60 from Sigma. The reason that I'm taking this brush is because, as you guys can see, that's really, really, really small and precise to get down the side of my nose. We're going to take that same powder, and what I'm going to do is I like to start right up here in the socket of my eye, because this is where it's going to, you know, be the most natural. So I start up, I start blending it into my brow, and then I slowly start to buff down the side of my nose. Okay, so as you guys can see, it looks a little bit harsh, and it is, and we are going to blend that out in a second. But I just want to show you guys kind of how we get our nose to be a little bit more snatched. Okay, once I have the sides of my nose down, I don't do anything else but this little tip right here. I just like to shade each side of it, so it gives it more of a pointed appearance. And because it looks wild, what I'm going to do is take the Lyric shade, which is the highlighting shade, and this Sigma tapered highlighter F35, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply this right along the side of my nose, which is going to, yes, it's going to make sure the contour is a little bit softer, and it's also going to highlight our under an eye, and to make sure that our cheekbones really do stay in that high up, you know, place that we have made for them. What I'm going to do is when I apply my blush, I am not going to focus it on the apple of my cheek. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to stipple it on the tops of my cheekbone. And this is how we sculpt like an entirely new face. There really isn't anything with eyeshadow to, you know, make your eyes look a little bit more feminine. Like, this just, your eye shape is your eye shape. So I'm just going to finish the rest of my makeup, and then I will come back to show you guys the final result. And the final step that I totally forgot is actual highlight. I tend to go overzealous with the highlight, but today we're going to be using MAC Soft and Gentle. This is an oldie but a goodie, and I love this. This is really going to, you know, top off your whole entire look and really make your cheekbones stand out. I'm going to be using an Anastasia I don't know, 15 brush or whatever. And what I'm going to do is I am just going to apply it where the light naturally hits. So that's going to be right here. Do you see that? Oh, this highlight is my absolute favorite. It just makes my skin honestly look like I'm bathing in sunlight. And this is our completed makeup look. As you guys can see from the beginning, we have drastically changed our face to look a lot more feminine than how we started. So that's all that I have for today's video. I hope that you guys enjoyed. Do not forget to subscribe if you guys have not already. That will be down there, and give the video a thumbs up. And feel free to check out my last video. That's going to be linked right here. Stay on the channel, have a couple laughs, learn a couple makeup techniques, and I will see you guys on my next video.